Right guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you and telling you why it's so important to change your transmission fluid on your BMW. And I'm going to explain to you, and I'm actually going to show you why that is and why many people fail to do this. They don't follow the recommended schedules, they never touch it, and this is the result of not changing your BMW's transmission fluid. So here we are guys with a transmission. Now this is an automatic transmission and this has a 5-speed gearbox. Now if you can see here, we've got a drain plug and we've also got a fuel plug. Now, many people seem to think you don't have to change the transmission fluid, but that is completely wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. You have to change your transmission fluid on your BMW. And the reason for that is simple. You are not going to know at all without bringing this pan down and also the filter inside. Now it is so important to do that because inside these sumps, which hold the fluid, you have magnets in there which will catch any kind of metal bits that break off from the gearbox, any kind of metal fragments, and that will be able to tell you if your gearbox isn't right. Many people will have a rough or shifting transmission and they will choose to leave it and just keep driving it like that. I think it's a problem with the engine. Little do they know that torque converter ends up stripping itself against the bell housing and all them fragments end up coming off into the bottom of the sump. Now when that happens, okay, your torque converter will be destroyed. After your torque converter has been destroyed and all the metal fragments are getting thrown around in the oil, all around the gearbox, they start getting into your mechatronics, into your solenoids, into your clutch packs. Then they start destroying your clutch packs. Then they'll start destroying the solenoids in the mechatronics because the solenoids are meant to be very, very clean. The only thing meant to be passing them is very clean fluid, not metal fragments. So it ends up jamming up the solenoids, which the solenoids end up not functioning the way they're meant to, which means your gear shifts will not be smooth and effortless. It will end up jerking, not changing gear. You'll find that it's jumping gears. You'll find a lot of issues when the transmission is going out. This is why it's so important to drop the sump on your transmission, on your BMW, if you have an auto transmission. So you can always check if there is an issue going on with your gearbox. Now, many people like to think all they need to do is just change the fluid. Now, sometimes you can get away with that and you'll be able to see the metal fragments, but if it's big chunks of the gearbox, unfortunately, it's all gonna be stuck to the magnets in the bottom of the sump pan. And that's the only way you're gonna see it when you take off the sump. A lot of people tend to leave the filter because they either find it hard or they can't get the bolts off because the bolts are seized for the gearbox or this or that. It's always something. And I try and tell people all the time, do not do that. They don't understand how much risk they're at from doing that, from not seeing inside. Especially when you first buy a car, if you don't take that pan off, that person could have sold you a car with a dodgy transmission and you will never even know because you're not taking the sump off to check if there's any kind of metal pieces in the bottom of the sump attached to the magnets from what they've caught from that gearbox going out. And also it's always good practice to do that, to flush the fluid, purely because it also cleans out the solenoids on the mechatronics, which will actually increase the smoothness of your gearbox when it shifts and changes and go through the gears. Because if you are getting rough shifting and your gears are not changing effortlessly and smoothly, it's going to be the solenoids on the mechatronic that are responsible for that. And if they have got pieces of metal fragments in from the gearbox, they're going to get into the solenoids, into the little holes where oil flow is meant to go, jam them up, and then that's what's going to cause your funny shifting and rough shifting on your transmission. That's why if you do have any of that, drop your transmission pan and check your fluid and change it all out immediately because the filter can only do so much. Do remember that the filter's there to do its job, catch it, but if it's big bits, it is not going to be able to stop that. It's there to catch any kind of small particles. That's all it's designed for. But if it's got too much and it's never been changed, that filter is not going to be doing its job either. So do make sure to do that on your BMW. Right guys, so I hope that actually clears that up and actually sums that up for some of you with the transmission fluid and why it's so important to at least drain it and to take the sump down. You should be doing that at least every 40 to 50,000 miles because if a problem arises you can fix it now while it's cheap before it becomes expensive, because as many of you guys know, some of the time you won't even be able to find a gearbox for that car or a mechatronics, or sometimes you will have to go and get a full rebuild, which can be very, very expensive. Now, if that's the case, that can leave you without a car. That's why it's so important. This is why I'm telling you, make sure to change your oil at least every 40 to 50,000 miles on your gearbox, regardless of the car. Take that stamp down and also change that filter. It's so, so important. It really ain't hard, and it's going to save you a new transmission. Thank you very much for watching. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.